and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Maokpe Ogun Yusuf. Happy International Women's Day to all our female viewers. Well, yes, I know, it was a few days ago. However, women are celebrated all month long. For those who ask why, the simple answer is, why not? Because in spite of all the attention being drawn to the obstacles impeding the attainment of the full potential of many women, these obstacles remain. It might then account for why the theme this year is for everyone to embrace equity. Equity and equality are two different concepts. While equality says, give everyone the same thing, equity recognizes that everyone doesn't start at the same point. And so you've got to tailor inputs to the needs of each one if you're to achieve the same outcome. Now, why is this important? As it would seem that women are making progress anyway. On Tuesday, the 7th of March, 92 senators-elect received their certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Of this number, only 3 were women. Although the rest of the seats are yet to be declared, these numbers are certainly not representative of the number of women in Nigeria or of capable women doing great work in many other professional spaces. So why are the numbers dwindling? Is it possible to pursue any gender agendas with the numbers that we're currently seeing in Parliament? Barrister Ebere Ifendo is the chairperson of Women in Politics Forum, a platform which lends its voice to increasing women participation in politics. Barrister Ifendo, welcome to Hard Copy and happy Women's Month to you.
Thank you very much.
Well, what a gift we were given. On the 7th of March, a day to International Women's Day, one of the things to be highlighting that in our parliament we're seeing less and less women being elected, well, even planning to run, and then even being elected to the National Assembly. I don't know whether this has come as any surprise to you, has it?
No, not at all. I will start by talking about, primaries at the time. Political parties were not really fair to Nigerian women. So many women came out to pick, forms for nomination and expression of interest. Unfortunately, political parties, hiked the cost of nomination forms and expression of interest forms, and that discouraged a lot of women. Apart from some women being intimidated out of the race, we also have issues where party already wants, will have a specific candidate they want to, feature. So generally from the primary time, for me, I knew it was not going to be a very fantastic result for us. But I never expected, that the women we already have at the National Assembly will not be coming back. At the Senate, as it is, the 3 women coming in are new members. And we were banking on our, more experienced legislators, because about parliament is about ranking, is about your years of in parliament. So yes, we are happy we have 3 women at least, but it's really a source of concern for us because the 8 women that were there at the last parliament will not be coming back. So I'm just imagining what will be the fate of Nigerian women if all the 3 women are not going to be ranking members of the parliament. Because even in deciding committees and things like that, you find out that they will have to work with the ranking members. But be it as it may, I'm very happy that at least we are not recording 0. At a point I was getting that confused. I was asking myself, are we going to end up having the 10th Senate without a single woman? So I'm very much happy that Nigerian women supported theirs, and we have at least these 3 women. And I hope, coming from their background, they will have to be a strong voice for Nigerian women. They will have to work with men to see that all the bills that we, presented at the last parliament will be passed this time. I don't know how they are going to do it, but Nigerian women really count on them to say that we are going to be able to achieve that.
Well, you've raised a number of issues. I mean, all in one response. You've raised the issue of the fact that political parties did not exactly give women a chance. The fact that even in some instances, the electorate were not exactly looking at whether or not there was a woman on the ballot. And of course, the fact that we're looking forward to a number of bills that should pass, perhaps to increase women participation in politics. And you're also looking at the fact that, you know, it might be a bit difficult for the number of women we currently have. All of them are questions which I have pointed down. So let us take the very first one, the fact that political parties, you know, hike their cost of nomination forms, which points to the economic capacity of women in general. Some political parties will argue that in some instances, we made our forms free. Maybe we said cost of nomination forms will be free, or expression of interest you will pay for, etc. But in that respect, can we really hold political parties to any account, given that some of them actually did give, will I say, a discount to female aspirants?
But you have to start talking about the percentage of the discount given, and whether, you know, giving us free forms or reduce the cost, whether it's necessary when we are looking at other, you know, political things that will face while contesting elections, or even being members of a political party. If you look at all these political parties, 18 of them that are registered now, you begin to ask yourself how many women occupy key sensitive positions in political parties. We have the women leader, like they call us in Nigeria, woman leader, because they are just telling you that you're leading yourself, you're not leading other women. So you see that position is not helpful, because the women are actually not given the opportunity to elect who will represent them. So political parties themselves, you know, put in, or how do I put it, the recruitment process of that of the person that will occupy that position is really not open for Nigerian women to take a decision to say this person will represent us. That is on one side. Second side is that most of these things are determined at the National Working Committee and the neck of the party, and then women are not fully represented. When they even give out free forms, the bad side of it is that I always say that it is a Greek gift. When you give us free forms, you will not concede to us. You will see that men will concede to those people that paid the huge amount that they have, you know, put aside for sale of nomination forms and expression of interest form. Why are they doing this? Parties are not getting subvention from the government or from any other means. So clearly their only source of finance is either by sale of membership forms, and that is membership forms. And normally membership forms is just about 200 naira to 500 naira, you know, membership. And again, because of the structure of political parties, are they actually going out to canvass for membership? So you say that if you are going to rely on membership funds, most political parties will not be able to raise up to 1 million naira. You see that they will not be able to, you know, pay their rents and then do other things required to run an effective political party. And then secondly, again, is that sale of forms is only the avenue that these people have to, you know, raise as much money as they will need to run party affairs. So you see that only those ones, the big money bags, are the ones that will get tickets. From the primaries of all the political parties, especially the major parties, if you look at the presidential primaries, you will see that it was just a matter of who paid more. So where will we get money to pay? You know, so, and again, I like what you said while, you know, opening this session. You talked about the difference between equity and equality. So you see that we have to make sure that Nigerian women, when did we start, you know, participating in politics? We are just coming up. And then if you think that we also have to, you know, figure it out with men, then you know that it will be difficult for Nigerian women in terms of cash, in terms of political intrigues that we see. Majorly, no internal party democracy. Whatever we are facing today in our political circle starts from internal party democracy. And then the structure of political parties, we do not have an effective and functional political party certain as it is, and as what you will find in other countries in Nigeria today. So this is what our major concern is. And then, you know, for me, women participate in party politics, but not as key members of the party. And this is where I have, you know, kind of concern. most rallies, you will find out that if they have maybe a percentage of 100% participation, you will see that women will make up 90% of people you will find at rallies. So like, that lower level, you will see women participate more. But at the national level, party executive, you will see that women are not there. So it's important for political parties and for INEC. I always say this when I have an opportunity to ask INEC what they are doing concerning political parties' manifesto and constitution. As a criteria, before you're registered as a member, as a political party in Nigeria, moving from an organization to a political party, you're expected to submit to INEC your constitution and your manifesto. And in all these documents, political parties will come up with specifically a certain percentage for women. But when they submit to INEC and they are not able to live up to their legal documents, INEC will not be able to sanction them. And this is what we are saying, that, look, if you tell us that you have positions 40% set aside for women, and you're bringing the list of your executive, and you do not have that percentage represented in your list, INEC should be bold and strong enough to reject, that list. And that will make political parties to go back and begin to, get more women to participate. If we have women at the party level, then I will tell you that primaries will be better for women, because we'll have women that will take decisions also, and they will all be conscious that they need to project more women to be part of the system.
Last year was a big year for women activism, so to speak, especially given the fact that, gender bills were rejected at the National Assembly, and we saw women groups, protest at the gates of the National Assembly for days. You would have thought that after that, political parties would be a little more conscious in terms of how they conducted their primaries. But the results that we're seeing so far, the fact that of the 15,000 candidates, 15,307 candidates, only 1,553 of them are women. So it doesn't look like, I'm just wondering how it is that people like you keep your voice in that space of advocacy when it looks like year in, year out, you're making all of these observations, you're bringing it to the attention of the public and even the politicians and those who can make a decision, yet not much progress is being made. If there's anything, it looks like more and more we're seeing dwindling numbers.
That's very correct. And this is, the major concern for us as women and especially as advocates. And this is the reason we are calling for legislation. Looking at other countries, because we've done a lot of comparative analysis, looking at other countries, you find out that most of them actually got, to where they are because of legislation. And we need to have a constitution that is gender sensitive. We need to have an electoral act that recognizes that women must participate in politics. And I'm using the word must, because if you look at it, the constitution says gender, it says equality. Nigerian women actually went to court also, and we succeeded. We got judgment from the Federal High Court. Unfortunately for us, the Attorney General appealed, that judgment. We are waiting, to hear from them. But we are not deterred. Like I always say, we are ready to follow them up to the Supreme Court. It's a matter of, law, because if the Constitution says equality, and this is like exactly what happened in Senegal. For many years, they were fighting for affirmative action. It was at the moment that they tried it, using the judicial process, that they got equality. And today in Senegal, they are over 42%. I think they are about 46% of women's political participation in Senegal. So we are not deterred. We know that it's going to take us a longer time, but it's getting shorter because we've moved up to this point, and where we are able to, brace it up to go to court, where we are able to brace it up to present 5 gender bills, where we were able, to occupy National Assembly for 10 legislative working days. This will tell them that Nigerian women are more strategic at this time. So we know that we need legislation. And most of all, again, we need political will. All through the campaigns, you listen to all these presidential candidates and all the other candidates, they're all talking about having a certain percentage for women. Someone said, oh, we're looking at 50%. Some said 40%. Just a few of them said 35%. But the truth is that it's just rhetoric. And what did we do to, work on that area? We came up with a document, the GAIN document. That document came up with from research conducted by 3 vulnerable groups, like they call us, the women, youth, and persons with disabilities. So for the GAIN document, what we did was, bring our request, and then there was a commitment page where we reached out to people contesting the presidential and the National Assembly seats. And they also had to sign into the commitment page. And why did we do that? Most times, they make promises and they're not able to keep to those promises. So with the document that they are already signed, it's like an accountability tool for us to say to them, at this point, we met with you and you signed on to the GAIN document, which shows that you're going to be working with the women, the youth, and the persons with disabilities. And I'm hoping that for one that is contesting or that has won election, that his integrity and character is of utmost importance to him or to her, will have to live up to any document that they, signed into. Then you're asking about if we're going to change strategy.
Yeah.
Well, for me, we're not changing strategy. We are going to build on what we already have. We are going to continue with advocacy. We are going to continue with networking. We are also going to continue with, putting more pressure. If we have to occupy the National Assembly again, we'll have to do that.
Yeah, but what do we need to do? What do we need to do for these things to gain traction? Because at the National Assembly, as perhaps the first day was very good, much later, we saw the numbers start to dwindle, and after a while, it was really an effort to make sure that women were really occupying, the gates. And then when you look at that in population, in comparison with the population of women we have in the country, there are big questions as to whether or not women realize just how important these sort of advocacies and raising their voices are, especially at the National Assembly.
Okay, so if you recall that National Assembly protest, basically we were, occupying from Abuja only. But what did we do after that? Because we also realized that they were seeing some of those bills as bills that were manufactured in Abuja and not, with grassroots impact. So we set up the constituency leads. And these constituency leads are women from all the constituencies of the National Assembly. And we trained them, mandated them to reach out to every parliamentarian coming from their side. And they did that. So the awareness is there. So nobody will look at it now as an Abuja thing. It means that if you're going to, represent your constituency, women in your constituency will be coming to you to ask questions, to bring in their demands. So it's no longer that you will not be accountable to your people. Because if you go there and you are not representing Nigerian women, especially women in your constituency, it means that the next election, they will, be voting you out. The consciousness is there. The education and knowledge is also there. Nigerian women are, part of what we achieved from the National Assembly protest was that it helped Nigerian women, to come together and to be more cohesive in what we are doing. So we work now more from the grassroots up.
Why political parties might have tried to include that in their manifestos, the agenda for gender equality, etc. It was very difficult to get the men, not just the men, the president, well, they're mostly men. They were all men, as a matter of fact. It was very difficult to get them to come and debate, especially in women fora. So I'm just wondering, how do you intend that while you have GAIN as a document and you found out that political parties are including some parts of it in their manifestos, how do you intend or how do you think that women should approach this issue of making the candidates say it with their own mouth so that, there is physical evidence. It's not enough to put it in a manifesto, but that these people actually make these promises that perhaps people can hold on to and, hold them accountable to.
Yeah, I just talked about, some of them signing into the GAIN document. I think it's also an avenue for us to hold them accountable. I'm also aware that Channels Television had town hall meetings and some of them were also invited. And I was also opportune to be there, and questions on how they will relate and work with women were asked, and they gave us their answers. And for the political parties, you have seen that we really cannot do much if INEC is not supporting us in that area. So what it means is that every stakeholder must work together with women. I'm saying this because we need the media. If the media is projecting our issues and holding men accountable, when you have opportunity of interviewing any one of them, you use your platform to ask questions concerning women and what they will be doing. We need media to, help us to project those ones that are not, supporting women. We need INEC as a government institution to say, look, we have this guideline, and the guideline says that you must obey your legal documents. Until we have INEC being able to sanction political parties that are not living up to their legal documents, we may not be able to, cross this until we get legislation. We need the judiciary. There has to be judicial activism, where judiciary will say, look, we have to stand by our women. We have to interpret the Constitution the right way. We have to support women, and everyone in Nigeria, because be you a person with disability, a woman or a man or a youth, you have every right in the Constitution, and that has to be obeyed. So we need the police also, the security agencies, to ensure that women also are protected, when they join politics. We had series of reports concerning women not getting police protection. We got reports of women having their posters torn. We got reports of intimidation, various forms of violence against women in politics, and that led us also to start working with NSCDC.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned even the cooperation of the judiciary. Interestingly, today is International Day for female judges, for women judges. So I imagine that they certainly will be listening to you and seeing how they can include this in promoting the rights of women participation in politics. But let me quickly ask you if you have an agenda for the female representatives elect now, as the case might be. They're very few in number, and it looks like there will be an undue pressure on them to, will I say, keep the flag flying, so that people will see that we're not just asking for women's sake, even though some people have said, after all, the men that are there, what are they really doing? But when the numbers are few, and when there is a convincing argument, perhaps based on the performance of those that are there, people will really see the need to continue to have more women in the National Assembly. Do you think that will work?
Yes, first of all, we are planning to have a meet and greet with all the elected women parliamentarians. Actually, we are waiting for the state elections to come through, so we'll know the number of women that we are having in state assemblies also. So we'll bring them together, and then we are also going to bring the older people, even though they are not coming back as parliamentarians, but they will have their experiences to share with the new women coming in. The number is not high, but when you look at the CV of the women that got elected, somehow you will feel confident that we are going to have a lot of difference. We have very strong women, former deputy governors. We have Ireti Kingibe that's coming to represent the FCT. The second time we are having a woman represent FCT at the Senate. So you see that these women are not, women that are new in politics. They also will have their agenda. They will have their plans on how to navigate, through the National Assembly. But we will have to, have the meet and greet. At the meet and greet, we are also looking at working with UN Women to also have, a training. It's not, I don't want to use the word training, but, giving them guidelines, and then bringing parliamentarians from outside the country, to also tell them how they've been able to work it out. After all, we have somebody like Nancy Pelosi in America that's been there for ages. She didn't just get to that position just sitting down. So these women themselves can make a big difference. We are hoping that they are going to represent Nigeria, and especially Nigerian women. So we are not, really complaining about the capacity, but we are just saying that the numbers are not right. But will they be able to make a difference? I think I'm very confident that, yes, they'll be able to do that.
Well, Barrister Ebere Ifendo, please keep adding your voice until we get the results that we need. I mean, equity and equality is a theme for this year. Let us hope that people will have that at the back of their minds, perhaps when they're also going to the polls come the governorship and the state assembly elections. Thank you so much for coming on Hard Copy.
Yeah. So I say thank you, and I have to embrace equity. Thank you.
Thank you. But that's the program tonight. Please send us what your thoughts are if you have any responses to the program using the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Good night.